As Canadians look to buy local, many are left wondering what actually counts as a Canadian product. In the food world, there's a number of different designations, from product of Canada to packaged in Canada. But what actually counts as a Canadian product can come down to what exactly you decide to consider.
The onus is on us as consumers to ask the questions, to do the research that's important to us, and decide which parameters are important to us.
There may be no better way to illustrate that struggle than with beer. In front of me, I have several well-known beer brands. Some of them are recognizably Canadian. This Coors Light is not. So which of these two counts as a Canadian beer? According to NB Liquor, they both do. Both of these were produced and canned in a Moncton brewery that employs about 40 people. And as NB Liquor has been pulling American product off the shelf, brands like Coors and Budweiser have remained. A spokesperson for ANBL says the country of production is their primary consideration with what does and doesn't stay on the shelf. Our goal is to ensure that we do not negatively impact companies that manufacture in Canada with Canadian ingredients and Canadian employees. Another point that may help to guide the question of what is and isn't a Canadian product is ownership. Molson was a Canadian company, but merged with Coors in 2005. Molson Coors is headquartered in Chicago, but as a publicly traded company, has shareholders from around the world. It also has a Canadian business division, 5 breweries across the country, and employs thousands.
Are we worried about where the brand is from, where the ownership of the company is from, or are we worried about where it's made?
Here's a different example. What about these two beers? Alexander Keith's, synonymous with Nova Scotia, and Moosehead, a New Brunswick staple. Both are brewed in Canada. Keith's in the north end of Halifax, and Moosehead on St. John's west side. Keith's is owned by InBev, a multinational headquartered in Belgium that also owns Budweiser. Moosehead, meanwhile, bills itself as one of the last Canadian macro breweries that is also Canadian-owned, a marketing tactic that CEO Andrew Oland says they are trying to lean into.
We're very encouraged in terms of talking to our customers, because they're consumers, our retail customers, their consumers are saying we want Canadian products. And we want true Canadian products, and so we are leaning into that very hard.
New Brunswick also has a very healthy craft beer industry, with breweries in nearly every corner of the province. So if you're looking for the most local choice possible, craft is likely your best option.
You're supporting jobs here, you're supporting most of the craft producers, invest most of the money back into hiring more people, expanding, buying better equipment. So the money that you're spending on craft alcohol, so whether it's wine, spirits, beer, or cider in the province, most of it will stay in the province.
But any beer produced in New Brunswick may also contain ingredients from elsewhere. Hops are primarily produced in the US and in Germany, and the cans that these beers are shipped in may cross the border several times before they're filled. So after years of an increasingly global economy, what is truly Canadian will always be hazy.
We're talking now about the costs to both the American and the Canadian economies of tariffs, and that's because there are values in taking advantage of different competencies and different things that we're good at to create value for both economies.